breakfast, good morning, whatever. Welcome back to the Sideline Perspective, episode 12. NBA playoffs just kicked off this afternoon, and we started off with the 4 or 5 seed out east, the Cavs versus the Magic. Then we went over to Minnesota versus Phoenix. Jumped back out east. We got, excuse me, I'm tired. Mine is kind of foggy right now. New York versus Philly. And then right now, the Lakers are taking on Denver. Not going to lie to you. Well, first and foremost, I was at work this afternoon for the first hour of that Cleveland-Orlando game, which was essentially the first half. Outside of that first quarter, that game was a snooze fest. I watched the second half when I got home. Not impressed whatsoever. A lot of missed shots, a lot of sloppy basketball was being played in that game. Cleveland, however, did pull that one out. Neither of these teams were able to crack 100 points, but Cleveland scored 97 to Orlando's 83. Paolo Banchero looked really, really good in his first playoff debut. 24 points, I want to say 7 rebounds, maybe 4 or 5 assists. And then Donovan Mitchell dropped 30 points in this one, where he started off really, really bad shooting-wise. Hey, hopefully Game 2 is a little bit better, but it wasn't a pretty one. Glad we got that one out of the way to start the day, though, and that was in the marquee game, so to speak. Of course not. Neither of these teams are really looked at to make a real run at the championship anyway, so that's why that was the first game, and it started at 1 p.m. Moving on to the next game, Minnesota versus Phoenix. Anthony Edwards, man. Anthony Edwards is that dude. If you don't know by now, you just haven't been paying attention. Anthony Edwards is cemented as a future superstar in this league. And I mean, top 5 player in this league. Once players like LeBron, all the older guys that are still aging very well are out of the league, and they're not in conversations for things like that. You still gonna have your Jokic, Embiid, Curry, Luka, Giannis. Anthony Edwards is gonna be up there in that conversation as well with a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, guys like that who are just really emerging onto the scene. Not like we didn't know who these guys were, but just we forget about John Morant too. John Morant is a dude that Jason Tatum, just so many guys in this league have superstar written over them already. Anthony Edwards is one of those dudes. In the first quarter of this game, he had 7 points on 3 of 5 shooting. He picked up 2 quick fouls though. Had to sit for a little minute. Came back into that third quarter. Got a little bit of burn. Picked up his third foul guarding KD with about 3 minutes left to play in a half, and you can see the visible disappointment not only in himself but in the whistle. A lot of whistles in that Minnesota Phoenix game. Both ways though, I will say, not many of them, equated to free throws, but just a lot of whistles that really slowed the flow of this game for the first half. Really, especially for Phoenix. Well, really for both of them. Phoenix scored 41 points in the first half. Minnesota scored 51. But Anthony Edwards, once he was out of the game, his team was able to hold it down. Gave them the largest lead of that first half of 14 points. So, it didn't really hurt them that he wasn't on the floor. They played their best basketball without him in that first half. So that's just really going to show how well this team is acclimated and how they play for each other. It's going to be next man up. It's not my turn, your turn type of mentality over there. I do want to say he has some of the best footwork of a player under 25 in the league that I can think of at the moment. Excuse me. He had so many shots in the mid-range, especially in that third quarter, where it was just he didn't really have. Oh my God, my eyes watering. He didn't really have, much to work with, especially with, the way that Phoenix was defending him, throwing multiple bodies at him, giving him different looks on the defensive end, making it hard for him, especially in that first half. My eyes really watering. Sorry. No cuts though. But yeah, they were really making it tough for him. But the way that he was able to get going in that third quarter was just out of this world for a player of his age, like in only his second playoff, stint. 18 points in the quarter. He was just getting whatever he wanted in the mid-range, whatever, wherever. Didn't matter who was guarding him, whether it was Kevin Durant. Who else did they have trying to guard him? What's his name? What is his name? Bradley Beal. Like, they just blanked on Bradley Beal. Whoever they had guarding Anthony Edwards was cooked in that third quarter. He even carried that over a little bit in the fourth quarter. What did I want to say? He had his sixth 30-point playoff game. Kevin Garnett, I was about to say Kevin Durant. Kevin Garnett had 7 in his career with the Minnesota Timberwolves. This is only, like I said, his second playoff stint in his career, his very, very young career. 6 other players have only done that one time in their career in Minnesota. So it's safe to say this is a star in the making, like I've been saying this entire time. I really love the way that he was able to take over and just blow this game out the water in that second half. 120-95, I think, was the final score. I stopped watching after a while. Rudy Gobert had a really solid performance in this one as well. Had a possession, I want to say it was the second quarter, where Devin Booker caught the ball or had the ball on a island with just Rudy Gobert, and he held his own. Dev tried to get like a shake on him. He's moving his feet and keeping up with him. Devin Booker was eventually able to score the bucket at the rim, but he had to do a reverse where Rudy Gobert very nearly got the block. So I really like how he was able to hold his own on that one and not, allow himself to be targeted like he has been before in the postseason. And then another play that I really liked from him was the and-one fadeaway over Nurkic. That was a pretty ugly shot, but it dropped. And it was just so ugly and unorthodox. I just had to bring it up because it was crazy. Rudy Gobert shooting a fadeaway jumper and it went off a glass like clean. I don't know. Karl Anthony Towns, man. A lot of players struggled early in this game, man. It was a dogfight out the gate. But Towns, whenever he was touching the ball, seeing 2 bodies off rip, he was only able to get a couple shots up in the first quarter, 2 points. Those were at the free throw line, but that came with 3 rebounds and an assist. A complete 180 though. Once that second quarter hit, he picked up his scoring. He picked up his aggression. He was able to get 11 points in a quarter. He finished the half 8 of 8 from the free throw line, and once Cat got going, it opened the game for Anthony Edwards as well, because now you got to pay attention to Karl Anthony Towns, make sure he's not getting off. You had guys like Nickeil Alexander in that first half who was having a hell of a game, not only on the defensive end like we expect for Nickeil, but offensively. He had 12 points in the first half, 3 rebounds, 3 steals, 5 of 8 scoring, and his impact is never really fully understood when you just look at a box score. If you watch that game and you saw how tough he was making it for Phoenix to make, passes just by him jumping at a pass, long wingspan, making it hard for them to get the ball to the guys in the spots that they wanted to get it in. And that led to a few turnovers, which gave the Wolves fast break opportunities where they really made their lead in that first half. They finished the first half with a 10-point lead, 9-0 fast break comparison in the half. I don't think that is a coincidence. And then Jaden McDaniels, his energy and effort was huge for Minnesota in that first half as well, making Phoenix reconsider a lot of shots and then rejecting a couple of his own, essentially matching Nickeil Alexander's production as far as scoring and defensive being a defensive menace goes. Mike Conley, however, in this game was a no-show. They didn't really need him though, so next game hopefully Mike Conley can show up just a little bit. To start the game, flipping over to the Suns now. To start the game, Rudy Gobert had the Kevin Durant assignment, and I thought that was a bit disrespectful. He did make him miss the first shot off a tough attempt, nonetheless. But he did hit the second one, and then they immediately switched it off of Rudy and went with Karl-Anthony Towns. Jaden McDaniels had that assignment at some points. Anthony Edwards, who picked up a couple fouls on Kevin Durant, had that assignment as well. But for the most part, KD was just able to get what he wanted to do, what he wanted throughout the game. Yeah, they did make it tough for him for some stretches, but Kevin Durant is Kevin Durant. He's going to do what he has to do, and he was the only player on the Phoenix Suns that really, looked like they knew that it was postseason play. Devin Booker did not have a good game whatsoever. I don't care what the box score says. Those points were at the free throw line and pretty much, I don't want to say garbage time, but they didn't really matter when it was all said and done. 7 points in the first half. We can actually look it up right now. Missed 6 of his 9 shots. He had 1 single rebound and a couple assists and 3 fouls. So all around just a negative first half for Devin Booker, especially for his standard. Didn't really keep track of him in the second half because Anthony Edwards got going, and once he got going, the Wolves really just blew this game wide open. Bradley Beal, though, did have a pretty decent game offensively. Ended up with 15, the last that I saw. In that third quarter, though, he did match Kevin Durant to get them on a little run offensively to, kind of claw back into the game. But that was really all she wrote for that one, man. Moving on to the next game, which was probably, if this Lakers game doesn't turn out to be anything, this is probably the best game of the night. Well, this will be the best game of the night. Joel Embiid. Scary, holy hell, off of that self-lob, off the glass, over OG Anunoby. Absolutely wrecked the alley-oop, but then he literally came down on that left knee. Well, he landed on his left foot, obviously, but the pressure shot up to his left knee, and it, he went down immediately. It kind of was, like, I know that did not just happen. Like, I know he did not just re-injure this repaired knee. But that was not the case, thank God. He was able to come back out in that second half, immediately out of that second half. Tried to get took a couple shots to get a basket to let people know, like, I'm good. That was just, a little freak accident, a little scared, but I'm good. But all in all, for that first quarter, he was pretty dominant. First half, really. 9 points to start off the first 3 minutes of the game for Philly. 5 of 9 from the field. 4 of 4 from the free throw line in that first quarter. He had 15 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists before that injury. 6 of 11 from the field. 18 points, 5 rebounds, 6 of 11 from the field, 16 minutes before that injury. And in that third quarter, he was able to put out 7 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. Just stagnated offense throughout that fourth quarter. The Knicks picking up that defensive pressure. He wasn't able to, carry over that momentum of the third quarter and, really piece together a run for Philly to, have a crack at winning this game. They did have some opportunities. I'm not going to say like it was just New York the whole time, because this was a dogfight, especially in that fourth quarter up until like the last 6 or so minutes when Philly just could not score a basket for like a 4-minute stretch. Tyrese Maxey, first quarter, he really, had a decent showing. First half was, atrocious though, shooting wise. First quarter, like I said, 9 points, pretty decent. Two assists, a rebound, a block, 4 of 6 from the field. Ended up with just 12 points through 24 minutes in that first half though. One made shot, 11 misses, 9 misses. So one for 9 in that next stretch in that second quarter. Just having a tough time getting anything going. I'm sorry I'm stuttering. It's kind of hard to read understand what I wrote. He was able to flip the switch in that second half though. 12 points in the third quarter, just relentlessly attacking the rim, daring anybody to step in front of him. And they did. He was going to hit him with that quick Euro or that right foot takeoff with that weird right foot takeoff, right hand layup. like JJ said, he's the player that has scored the most points off of that exact move in the NBA this season, and you see why. It's easy for him to get to, and it's so quick. Had a really solid game. I didn't get the final stats for this one because the Lakers game was starting at the end of this game, so I'm kind of like trying to watch both and annotate. So I apologize, I did not get final stats for this one, but hey, that's what Google's for, you know what I mean? Kyle Lowry had a really solid performance through that first 3 quarters, man. Was outperforming Kelly Oubre and Tobias Harris for a majority of this game. He ended up with 12 points in that third quarter alone. So a really, really solid performance for Kyle Lowry. All things considered, you know, he's going to hustle on the defensive end. He's a high IQ basketball player, so he's going to make right plays 80% of the time. They really had a hot start to start the game. Early 11-point lead, 11-20 for the first quarter. They were up 9 going into the second, but then somewhere in between, New York got some fire. They went down 14. Ended up, fighting all the way back, getting a 6-point lead, a real battle back and forth, and then somewhere down the line again, they were, New York just was overwhelming them on the defensive end. They couldn't get anything going, and when it was all said and done, the New York Knicks were victorious in this one, going up 1-0. But moving on to speak about what the Knicks were doing, an abysmal start to start the game shooting. Absolutely terrible. 2 of 12 from the field, 1 of 5 from three-point range. Eventually able to put together an 8-0 run, but then, to cut the lead, but ultimately fizzled out again. That first quarter was 7 of 22 from the field. The bench made a huge difference for the Knicks in this game, especially in that second quarter. Dire baskets. How many points did they have in that quarter? They came down from as much as 13. They were able to take their first lead 42-40 with a little over 5 minutes to go in the second quarter. They amassed a 12-point lead by halftime. 26 bench points for the half to Philly 7. A lot of that, most of that, maybe all of that was Miles McBride and Bojan Bogdanovic, man. 18 fast break points to Philly's 3 and 16 second chance points to Philly's 6. They were dominating on all of the subcategories when it comes to hustle and scoring. Jalen Brunson had a really hard time getting it going to begin this game. 2 of 8 in the first quarter, finished the half 5 of 15, but he had a much better second quarter. 16 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists for the first half. Like I said, I did not get final stats for this one, but I can assure you, Jalen Brunson turned it the hell up in that second quarter. Really did what a lead guard is supposed to do in this moment. We know he's made for these kind of moments. We've seen it when he was in Dallas alongside of Luka Doncic as the second guy. Now he's the first guy. I doubt he's going to let us down when they needed him the most. And that he did not. He came through for them, although he was struggling. He did not have the greatest shooting night, but his impact on the game is what I mean by he really turned it up. Guys like Miles McBride off the bench, like I said, Bojan Bogdanovic, and then Josh Hart as well had very, very, very vital performances in this game. And without them 3 players, the Knicks would not have won this game. Like I said, Bojan, his shooting supply much needed scoring alongside Miles McBride, 13.7 rebounds going into the fourth quarter. Deuce had some really productive minutes in the first half. He kicked off the second quarter, hitting a 3, cutting the Sixers lead down to 3. And then on the next possession, finding Bojan Bogdanovic for a 3 of his own, his second within 90 seconds. And then he was 4-4 in the second quarter from downtown, 16 points in the first half. A huge scoring lift in a game plan. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this could be a game plan changing performance for Nick Nurse and the Sixers based off of how he performed. He was not scared of whoever they threw in front of him. He was getting up shots whether you wanted to, get a hand up or not. Miles McBride was out there playing like he was the lead guy, and they need that kind of confidence in him moving forward to have that success. I'm not saying he's going to be the same guy next game or even this series have a game even close to this, but if he has that same confidence to keep shooting, this can be a very scary run for the Knicks getting out of this series, because if they can, because even with the hobbled Joel Embiid, he's at 70-something%. This was still a game. This was still very much a game. Don't let me get out of this section without mentioning Josh Hart in that fourth quarter, bro. He had 13 points in that fourth quarter after just having, 7 going into it. So he had two big-time threes. One of them should have been an and one. He got that huge offensive rebound to seal the deal at the end and then hit the 2 free throws. Very, very, very good performance from Josh Hart. Stepping up, like I said, for Jalen Brunson, who is the lead guy, who was just struggling the entire night. The bench guys, the role players really did their part. And the Knicks go up 1-0 in a game that they really could have lost because they started this game off so bad. Philly started off so hot, but just eventually something happened where they fizzled out, and they weren't able to reel it back in and take over, especially being in the Garden. It's hard to do that with them fans, man. So yeah. And then I did get a little bit of notes for the first half of that Denver-LA game. I'm not going to finish watching the game tonight because I'm tired as hell. I'm not going to lie. I've been up since 4:20 this morning on 4:20, and I work again tomorrow. Got to be up at 4:30 again. So, yeah, I'll give you my little spiel for the first half. Jokic, don't know why the hell dumb pocket ham keeps putting Rui on Jokic. First 3 minutes of the game, he showed us why you don't do that disrespectful shit, and he gave him a couple quick baskets and a foul. When the first quarter was over, it was 11. He had 11 points total on 5 of 6 from the field. So, if you ask me, that's a bit more disrespectful, and probably a lot bit more disrespectful than Rudy being on Kevin Durant. Jamal Murray had 4 assists in that first quarter. He had a huge slam with LeBron James trailing him for the block, but was able to throw it down. Really gave the Denver Nuggets some momentum. But the Lakers, man, the Lakers was on one. Got out to an 8-point lead in the first quarter, playing very good defense on a team that's had their number for essentially an entire calendar year. You go back to the Western Conference Finals, May last year. 12-point lead was their largest of the half. Just a lot of double teams thrown at Jokic. The starters, however, Jokic was doing his part. Like I said, just the starters weren't able to offer much production offensively. On a scoring aspect, a combined 6 points, 3 of 11 shooting outside of Jokic was the reason they were playing from behind to start the second quarter. But both teams were running it up in that paint, man, in the first quarter. Well over 30 combined points. And that's to be expected with these teams, especially with the Lakers, a team that's known to get downhill. Yeah, you got shooters that you can kick out to in Rui, D'Lo, Austin Reeves, Taurean Prince, Cam Reddish if he gets into the game. But Gabe Vincent had he's getting some burn, you know what I mean? Gabe Vincent's back. But yeah, just the starters weren't really doing their part, and that's why Denver was down heading into the second quarter and playing from behind for majority of it. Now, I can check the score real quick, see what that score is looking like for y'all. But Peyton Watson had a really solid performance in that first half. It is a tied ball game in the third quarter right now, 67-67 with about 8 minutes to play. The Denver Nuggets won the second quarter, scoring 32-27. Like I said, tied ball game right now. Unfortunately, I am tired, so I'm not going to finish that one. But I appreciate anybody that tuned into this little short sideline perspective episode. But since it is the weekend, I decided to go ahead and do it as a sideline perspective and not just a drop of a video. Definitely stay tuned in, man. As y'all can see, even when I'm at my lowest of energy, I'm still bringing y'all the videos, man. We are grinding the subscribers up right now. I can't express how excited I am to continue through this playoffs. This is day one of the playoffs, and we've got 3 to 4 subscribers within a week's time. So I appreciate y'all tuning into this channel, man. It's just, I'm a dude in my man cave, just talking ball. I'm not a professional, but I do want to, eventually get into the realm of the space where I am rubbing elbows with the professionals, you know what I mean? Because I do love this game, and I feel like I know enough about it to where I can speak on it. I know Jamal Crawford said what he said the other day about, basketball is one of the only sports where professionals you don't have to be professional to speak on professionals. And he's right. Some cases you do need to be a professional to speak on professionals, but in this case, not really. If you know the game, if you played the game, if you love the game, I feel like that gives you enough of a voice to be able to do what I'm doing right now. Not a knock to Jamal, one of my favorite players to watch, one of the best 6 men of all time, but just, speaking my mind on that. I know it was a week old or whatever, but yeah, had to get that out there. As y'all know, as always, we enjoy basketball around here, and we're going to continue doing that throughout the rest of this playoffs, throughout June, even in the off season, going into next season, and the next season, and the next season. We're going to be here as long as y'all keep on supporting and tuning into the video, into the channel. I'm going to stop spewing words now. I'm going to go ahead and get ready for bed. It's about 10:15. Edit this up, post it. It should be out by midnight, maybe 1 at the latest. I'll catch y'all next time. Should be tomorrow. Like I said, short one, but it's, due to circumstance. I appreciate y'all though. I'll catch y'all on the next one.